Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Veeryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamārambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nishacharajam Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramanasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Uddhara Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Satpratyaya Kimnu Vihaya Santam Hridyesha Chinta Rahito Budakyah Katham Smaramastamamiyamekam Tasya Smritistatra Drudhaiva Nishtha. Hari Om, everyone. Welcome back after summer break. Somebody told me, please don't ask what we did over this summer as far as study is concerned. But I'm sure all of us did something. We had goals before the summer and we accomplished part of that goal. If you did accomplish everything, well and good. In our Upanishads, it is said, Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. Pramada means inadvertence. For a student of Vedanta, Upanishads say, don't be inadvertent in two things. One is Swadhyaya, another is Pravachan. Swadhyaya means studying scriptures, studying about oneself. Swasya Adhyayanam it is. Not some informational study, but continuously studying about ourselves. That is Swadhyaya. And having studied it, also reflecting on it. Independently reflecting on it. That is the meaning of the word Pravachan. Pravachan is not only sharing ideas. Having reflected on it, Pravachan becomes a means to reflect. In these two things, Upanishads say, don't do any negligence or inadvertence. Just as there is a sculptor who is carving out a beautiful form in a stone, scriptures are carving out our convictions in that. What is our conviction regarding world? What is our conviction regarding how I should live my life? How I should face different ups and downs in life? The one who is preparing a beautiful sculptor, one who is preparing a beautiful idol, the sculptor, that is scriptures. And what is getting formed is our conviction. Now there are two things here. One is making the idol itself, making it very beautiful. That is one part of the journey. Another part is, even while looking at the idol, recognizing that the substratum is the same stone. Let's say in front of the temple, we see that beautiful lion carved out of a marble. Sometimes, if you see the exquisite work which is done, even the veins are seen, the expressions are very lively. That is one part. Second part is to know, no matter how beautiful this lion looks, it is still the marble. Now, the analogy is to show beautifying that lion is part of sadhana. It is part of karma yoga. To understand this beautiful thing is nothing but the substratum is jnana yoga. Beautifying the mind is sadhana and karma yoga. Knowing the adhisthana, the substratum of that mind to be consciousness, that is jnana yoga. In both these things, scriptures carve our conditions. How to do karma yoga also, we learn from Shastra. What is karma yoga also we learn from here. Then shifting attention to substratum, how to do that, that also is pointed in scriptures. The thing about this text, Saddarshanam, is it will not talk much about the first aspect. Sadhana part, which forms probably 70 to 80% of our spiritual journey. The emphasis on that is not as much in Saddarshanam. Saddarshanam, Bhagwan Raman Maharshiji's main role here, or main goal here, is to shift attention to substratum. But for sadhana, there are several other perspectives given in several other texts. Even for karma yoga and Bhagavad Gita, so many other places we see. And more we reflect on it, something new comes out every time. To summarize karma yoga in one line, one Mahatma Ji would say, Bhagwan is telling Arjuna, Arjuna, you are standing in this battlefield, so many people are around you. Duryodhana is there, Bhishma is there, Dronacharya is there, your own brothers are there. He says, don't look at any of them. Keep looking at me, and at that point, whatever is your duty, that you keep doing. देखते रहो मेरी ओर, कर्म करो दुनिया की ओर. Keep looking at me and let your hands work in the world outside. He said this whole karma yoga is summarized in this one line. What Bhagwan says is, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. That is the best sadhana which is there. And in this karma yoga, there are different facets, different things which are mentioned. Different types. If we come to that verse, we will see it today. Sometimes you might get overwhelmed also. You say, what should I do? In sadhana, there are 10 different things mentioned. I should do japa also, I should meditate also, I should do puja also. And I have half an hour. So then Bhagwan says, it doesn't matter how many things we do. What matters is whether we are doing it wholeheartedly or not. It might be just one sadhana, but if we can bring life into that sadhana. He says then the first project of shaping that beautiful idol is already happening. In Saddarshanam, Bhagwan says, let us shift to the absolute, which is a substratum in which this mind and this whole creation is appearing. He says shifting there is our main goal. If you are new to Vedanta, then this part might seem a little bit unheard of. If you're listening to Vedanta, then this is very simple. Reflecting upon these two terms will always help us understand texts like these in a very mature way. One term is called as transactional reality, and second is absolute reality. Transactional reality is called as Vyavaharika Satyam, and absolute reality is Paramarthika Satyam. Now, majority of our life might have gone in dealing with Vyavaharik Satyam, or even right now it is going in dealing with Vyavaharika Satyam. If we totally dismiss it and say there is only Paramartha, we will never be able to make that jump. And so we'll always feel, oh, Vedanta is telling something which I am unable to relate right now. Bhagwan Raman Mahashiji, he would first give one answer and then see whether that answer is working or not. But when that answer doesn't work, in between he'll give some other answer. But finally again come back there. If somebody comes saying, I have a problem, his main question would be, who has a problem? So that is not working right now. Don't give me this answer. Then something else he would say. But finally it would come to this. So that switch between Vyavaharika Satyam and Paramarthika Satyam, one has to be very comfortable. So those are few things related to just the journey of this text. If you are expecting sadhana, then there is a different text. Over here, we'll be a little disappointed because Bhagavan doesn't mention too much about those topics. In Upadesha Sara, Bhagavan gives 50% time to sadhana related topics. And that only shows how important it is. But in this text, Bhagavan expects that we have heard Bhagavan's teachings in Bhagavad Gita, and we are striving only for abidance in that truth. Tameva chadyam purusham prapatti. I surrender myself to that Purusha who is Purushottama. Purushottama means beyond this material world, one who is a substratum of this material world. That is this Purushottama. What are some other names of Purushottama? You can type it also. Brahma, Sakshi, Chaitanya, Sat, Chit, Ananda. All are talking about the same thing. They are not different things. In this text, that Purushottama of 15th chapter is called as Sat. How to reach that Sat and how to abide in that Sat, that will be shown in Saddarshanam. We can also call this text as Chit Darshanam. You can also call it as Ananda Darshanam, Ananda Anubhuti. Everything is same. Actually, this Mananam is what will open up many knots in the heart. This is called as finding Samanvaya. Samanvaya means seamlessness. If one thing is mentioned in one text in a particular way, reflecting upon how it has been opened in other texts in different ways. And then when we ourselves see the similarity, then a lot of things open up. Now that we are meeting after quite some time, we'll do a quick recap of the verses until number 10. Okay. Some of you are attending for the first time online also. That way, all of us can come up to speed. Shall we chant the verses also? Let us chant it together. First verse to 10. Satpratyaya kim nu vihaya santam hridyesha chinta rahito hrudakhyaga katham smaramastamaveyamekam tasya smritistatra dridhaiva nishtha मृत्युंजयं मृत्युभियाश्रितान्यं अहं मतिर्मृत्युमुपैति पूर्वम् अथ स्वभावादमृतेषु तेषु कथं पुनर्मृत्युधियोऽवकाशः सर्वैर्निदानं जगतोऽहमश्च वाच्यः प्रभुः कश्चिदपारशक्तिः चित्रे त्रैलोक्यं च विलोकिता च पटः प्रकाशोऽप्यभवत् स एकः आरभ्यते जीवजगत्परात्मम् तत्त्वाभिधानेन मतं समस्तम् इदं त्रयं यावदहं मतिः स्यात् सर्वोत्तमं मतिशून्यनिष्ठा सत्यं मृषा वा चिदिदं जडं वा दुःखं सुखं वेति मुधा विवादः अदृष्टलोकानिरहं प्रतीतिः निष्ठा विकल्पा परमाखिलेष्टा स्वरूपबुद्धिर्जगतीश्वरे च स्वरूपधीरात्मनि यावदस्ति अरूप आत्मा यदि कः प्रपश्येत् सा दृष्टिरेका नवधीर्हि पूर्णा यत्पञ्चकोशात्मकमस्ति देहं तदन्तरा किं भुवनं चकास्ति देहं विना पञ्चविधं तदेतत् पश्यन्ति केवा भुवनं भणत्तु शब्दादिरूपं भुवनं समस्तं शब्दादिसत्तेन्द्रियवृत्तिभास्या सत्तेन्द्रियाणां मनसो वशे स्यात् मनोमयं तत् भुवनं वदामः धिया सहोपेति धियास्तमेति लोकस्ततोधि प्रविभास्य एषः धीलोकजन्म क्षयधामपूर्णं सद्वस्तु जन्म क्षयशून्यमेकम् भवन्तु सद्दर्शन साधना. This was not done yet. Only 9. After 3 months, whatever you say is true. The say we have done, we have done. First verse, Bhagavan said, if you are looking for the truth, let us not look for it outside. He said this truth is available right within. Shifting attention to thoughts and understanding, recognizing that Sat, right there where thoughts are appearing. Just like mirage water cannot exist without the substratum, thoughts also cannot exist without Sat. Sat pratyayaha santam vihaya. How is it possible that without Sat, thoughts are seen? Means, is it possible in this way? Sat pratyayaha kim vihaya santam hrudi esha chinta. This Sat is available in hrudi, in the heart. And if you shift attention to that Sat, you will notice there are no thoughts. And if there are no thoughts, there is no world. If there is no world, there is no samsara. Just like in deep sleep, if mind dissolves, samsara dissolves. To get that conviction in waking state, that is called liberation. While mind is active, to know that there is an underlying substratum which is Sat. That is the sadhana here in Saddarshanam. If we get this question, how should I abide in this truth? When I listen to it, that time I remember. How can I keep abiding in this truth? Bhagavan says, Tasya smritihi tatra drudaiva nishtha. The recollection of this knowledge itself is abidance in this knowledge. He says recollection, not repetition. The repetition can be even without understanding. The recollection is with understanding. It is just like whenever they give a math problem and say find x. Now if you just look at the back answer given at the back and say x equals this, and you keep repeating x is this, you might repeat, but there is no guarantee that we have understood how to solve that problem. But let us say we derive it step by step, and we have understood the value of x is this. Now, even if you forget what is the value of x, you can just recollect it and get the whole thing back. In the same way, one who has done thorough shravana, gone from step 1, starting from adhyaropa to apavada, that sadhaka can go back anytime. Smriti means that, recollection of the teaching in the way that it was given. And not all the details, at least the key points. If I have to meditate upon I am Brahman, how am I Brahman? That recollection itself is abidance. Second verse said, true surrender is surrender of the ego to the self. Mrityunjayam mrityubhyashitanam aham matihi mrityumupaiti purva. He says we have asked and surrendered to Bhagavan for different things. And His grace is such, He will make us nischinta. Nischinta means free from worry about transactional things. That is one insignia of a devotee. If somebody calls themselves as a devotee and is overly concerned about world also, Bhagavan says, leave some things on me also. That is actually not a good name for me. He says, my devotee is there and he is worried about his yogakshema. But when that yogakshema worry is removed, Bhagavan says, I removed it because you can seek me. And that seeking of absolute nature happens by surrendering the ego to the self. The Naivedya here is Ahankara. And the Prasada is Atmanishta. That was mentioned in the second verse. Devotional surrender is holding on to this fact that I am Jeeva. Vedantic surrender is by letting go of this fact or letting go of Jivatva itself. That is Vedantic Sharanagati. If you want to look at differently, the verse says, if we have surrendered to Bhagavan, then to remove our Jivatva is responsible. But we should not expect Bhagavan will come, put his Trishul, and then pull that Jivatva out. He says, no, I am Adi Guru. My words are to be understood through Upanishads. To remove Jivatva, it is the same teaching coming from Sadashiva Samanabha. Vedas are breath of Bhagavan. What is Bhagwan's Ichha? He says, read Upanishad. What is Bhagwan's teaching? Read Upanishads. What does he want us to do? Same thing what he's saying in Upanishad. So that is the second verse. This is true surrender is surrender of ego to the self. Now in Saddarshanam, for English translation sake, we will use the word ego. The precise word is ahankar. And we have seen this in the first session. Ahankara is not only pride in transaction. Right? Ego, when we say, it is not just transactional ego we are talking about. This feeling of finitude, even the thought of being a sadhaka, is also ahankara. So Saddarshanam is here to remove all kind of bondage. So even sadhaka ahankara, it will free us from. But that sadhaka ahankara should first free us from badaka ahankara. Badaka ahankara means whenever vasanas are pushing out, all of that will be removed by that. Whatever gives us trouble, we should remember badaka ahankara is active. Wherever we experience sorrow, that time also we should remember it is this badaka ahankara which is active. We might feel sorrow is coming from outside. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshiji's technique is question the experiencer before talking about experience. Question the experiencer before we even discuss about experience. Experience can be good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. Any pair of opposite you take, that will fall under experience. But Bhagwan is more interested in experiencer. So that sadhaka ahankara will also be removed through this Vedantic teaching. Then third verse, Bhagwan said, this Sat alone appears as world and ego. That one truth alone appears as Jagat and Aham. Sarvai Nidanam Jagataha Ahamascha. Nidana means the substratum or the cause. There are no two entities over here. It is one alone appearing as two. There is this world that I am seeing outside, and this experience or ego which is seeing the world outside. This is both are expressions of that same Sat. How did it come about in these two things? This is using the Shakti of Maya. Apara Shakti is Maya Shakti. Kashchit Prabhu, some Prabhu is there. Means that consciousness with Maya Shakti is called Prabhu, who expresses as his world and also as his ego. More I can inquire here. There alone I will find Bhagavan. Inquiring into Aham is a place where we will find Bhagavan. That was the third verse. Fourth verse, Bhagavan said, triad is there. Triad of Jeeva, Jagat and Ishwara. This triad is there only so long as ego is there. When ahankara is awake, triputi is awake, or triputi is recognized. When ahankara dissolves, he says there is no triad, everything merges back into that same truth. Now the main challenge here is the Jeeva and Jagat. Ishwara has never bothered us, only helped us. Just to say that triad is there, that's why all three are pointed. But when it is said, dissolve triad, we should not start by dissolving Ishwara. It says, dissolve this identity that you are a Jeeva. With that, see no difference between this Ahankara and the Jagat outside. That's why the movie example is given. Patav Prakasho Yabhavat Sa Eka. He said, just like on a screen, you see so many things, and there is one person also who is there in that screen. But both of those things, the person and the world, they are appearing in that screen alone. So that screen is Sat, consciousness. In that is Ahankara and Jagat is appearing. Okay, so that was the fourth verse. All of you are remembering something that we studied all these points. If I do detailed recap, then we'll need another 6 classes just to do recap. Because I'm just going on the main points of each verse. Sixth verse or fifth verse, Bhagavan said, any inquiry we do by retaining the notion of finitude, he says that inquiry is futile inquiry. If the culmination of any inquiry results in finitude remaining intact, our jivatva remaining intact, our body-mind identification remaining intact, he says that inquiry has not served its purpose. Because we never started inquiry for the sake of inquiry. Inquiry was started for dukkha nivritti, or to abide in happiness. That is why we started this inquiry. And if we have learnt about something which is very great, very beautiful, but different from us, that particular entity will not be doing adyantika dukkha nivritti. It will not be doing permanent cessation of sorrow. Therefore, Bhagavan says, be very alert. Whatever discussions we do, whatever logic we apply, let us not miss the main point, which is removal of ahankara. Okay, that was said in the fifth verse. Satyam Rushava, Chididam Janamva, Dukkham Sukham Veti Mudha Vivada. Mudha Vivada means futile inquiry. Even when Darshanikas, they are discussing, right? They are not discussing because of intellectual curiosity. Whenever you read Bhagavan Shankaracharya's Bhashya, you see so much of debate happening. At one point comes from Sankhya Darshana, Bhagavan Shankaracharya answers them. Then some other Darshana. They are thinkers about their school of thought. And they are trying to establish that this is how we look at the truth. Now when they have that kind of thinking, naturally there will be difference of opinion. To get clarity about that, they are raising those Purvapakshas. If it is not our Purvapaksha, we don't have to worry too much. Okay, sometimes to understand question itself is so difficult. Then comes the point of understanding the answer. But the main culmination is in understanding I am not this ahankara. Okay, that was the fifth verse. Sixth verse, Bhagavan is talking to somebody who is asking this question. Is God with form or is God formless? This is actually Arjuna's question in 12th chapter. He says, few people worship you with form and few people worship you in a formless way. Amongst both of them, who has known you better? Tesham ke yoga vittama. What does Bhagavan say? actually doesn't answer his question enough. He says, those who worship me all the time as Saguna, those who put their mind in me, they are the best. Arjuna must have asked, Bhagwan, they are the best. What about the other? They are not. Bhagwan says, the second category, those who have understood me as their own self, they are one with him. Means even to say best or not best, you have to be there. So those who have merged in me, there is no ahankara remaining anymore. There is no finitude remaining anymore. So as though they have opted out of the race. There is only one contender, so he is the best. But Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says here, if you have the question whether God is with form or without form, the counter question is, are you with form or without form? If I say I am with form, then to think about Bhagavan as without form will be difficult. Kleshah adhikatarah tesham avyakta asakta chetasa. Klesha means difficulties are more if you directly go to the nirguna aspect of Bhagavan. But when sadhanas are done, mind is purified, Shravanam is thorough. The main thing needed in this Saddarshanam sadhana is thorough Shravanam. How am I that Sat? If that part is clear, he says one cannot but look upon Bhagavan as Nirguna. This point somewhere I had read, either from Ramakrishna Paramhansa or Ramana Maharshi. I'm blanking who it was. One devotee comes and asks, is God, Ramana Maharshi, he says, is God with form or without form? Ramana Maharshi says, you have done Shravanam, right? And you have understood your essential nature is that consciousness. He says, at least give that benefit of doubt to Bhagavan. He says, if you say you are with form, or you say you are without form, and Bhagavan is with form, means one who gave you knowledge, you are superimposing ignorance on the one who gave you knowledge. Because the knowledge that you are without form came from Bhagavan. His answers are very, very, very deep. Every answer we have to reflect a lot. Okay, so this was the 6th verse. No, this was 6th verse. 7th verse, 7th, 8th, 9th are all connected. 7th verse, Bhagavan is saying, can you experience world? Or have you experienced world without identifying with world? Have you experienced world without identifying with world? He says, no, whenever I have experienced world, I have done it only through body identification. And whenever body identification was not there, then world also was not there. Body is the chief identifier out of all Panchakoshas. He says, look at this fact, that how much dependence is there, even in perception of this world. It's unless there are Panchakoshas, unless there is mind and body, world is not even perceived. So that world which we take to be granted, means we take it real, and we take it for granted that it is real. That itself is questionable. What is the reality and what is the coloring that our mind has done, our vasanas have done? This is question about that. That truth is only one. Through the lens of Panchakosha, it appears as many. The same truth, through the lens of Panchakosha, appears to be many. Just like one ray of light through a prism appears to be different, that truth through the prism of avidya and Panchakosha appears to be many. In that world, whatever things are happening, that Raman Maharshi doesn't discuss. He said that is the first project, carving out the idol. His main point is question whether world is independently experienced or is it first dependent upon Panchakosha. Now he narrows down. In 8th verse he says, I will systematically explain how to dissolve this world into thoughts first. Shabdadi Rupam Bhuvanam Samastam. He says, don't look at these as names and forms. Don't call this harmonium, don't call this mic. Just look at it as 5 elements first. Call this earth element. And it's factually true. Earth element modified in a particular form is this mic. What gives it shape is which element? Rupa. Rupa, fire. Fire gives it shape. If I can taste something, that is rasa. If I can smell something, it is prithvi. Rasa means water element. Only when water element is there, I can taste something. He is actually shaking the whole foundation of the experience of this world. He says, unless we shift our attention this way, we will always get stuck in name and form. Either we will have attachment towards that name or we will have hatred towards it. Either raga or dvesha. And within that alone, nama rupa will keep our mind occupied. If you want to go beyond nama rupa, again, this is a different technique. What was the technique in Bhajagovinda? Pratipaksha bhavana. Look at the limitations, look at the defects in those nama rupa. Raman Maharshi here doesn't talk about defects. He says, look at the reality of that. How to look at the reality? First come to elements. From nama rupa, come to elements. These elements are connected with sense organs. Eyes will see only form. Ears will do hearing only of sound. They will not take anything else. This only when sense organs are there, that particular experience is available to us. Just think about it. If you remove visual and audio, almost 60% of our experience of the world is wiped out. Means world will become a different field of experience if the sense organs are not there. And he says sense organs are experienced only when mind is there. Therefore, his conclusion is Manomayam tat bhuvanam vadam. I say this world is nothing but thoughts. If somebody says, no, I don't agree, just prove it. Prove that you can experience world independent of thought. Prove that you can experience world independent of sense organs. I said, no, everything is dependent. They are all interlinked. So there is no way to say there is a real world outside, or rather, the world outside has more reality and thoughts inside have lesser reality. Manomayam tat bhuvanam vadama means that. This bhuvanam that I am seeing outside is nothing but manomaya. Having woken up, we can appreciate that for dream. Right? In dream, we don't say the dreamer in dream is more real. And the world outside which is seen Or put it other way, world outside is more real, dream world, and the dreamer is, the thoughts in the dreamer's mind is less real. So no, both are same degrees of reality. The thought and the dream world, both are same. Like that he says, look upon this whole world as Manomaya. If this point you find it difficult, what is the alternative we had seen? Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti is created by Bhagavan. Jiva Srishti is our superimposition on top of those things. Whenever we see a person, we say technically speaking, it's Panchamahabhuta. But having Raga or Dvesha, that is Jiva Srishti. On top of that, having Raga Dvesha, that is Jiva Srishti. So we ourselves have conditioned our mind with so many things. More we start observing the mind, even Jiva Srishti reduces. Mind which is unchecked is the boss. It will run the show. It will pull us down several times. But mind which is observed is a Jiva Srishti for that mind goes down. There is one traditional example for Jiva Srishti, Ishvara Srishti. One disciple went to his guru and he said, please teach me some kind of meditation. Guru said, if you have to meditate, first you have to love that thing. Then only you can effortlessly put your mind there. Without this kind of love, you cannot meditate. So tell me, what are the things you really love? What can you meditate upon? That disciple said, Guru, I cannot meditate upon anything. There's something you love. He said, I work in the farm and whole day I spend with my buffalo. I can meditate upon that buffalo. So he said, okay, meditate upon that buffalo. Instead of saying Saha Aham, instead of saying Soham, say I Soham. That buffalo I am. This boy went into a cave, sat inside, meditated. 6 months went by. Guru remembered, my disciple had said, let me see where he is. Inside he sees, very quietly he is sitting, meditating. He said, now it is time, you can come out. The disciple says, Guru, I want to come out, but I am unable to. He said, why, what happened? The door opening of that cave is not wide enough for me to come out. Means his tadatmya, the oneness has become such, he thinks of himself as a buffalo. Then the Guru had to tell him, now meditate upon this, I am a man, I am a man, I am a man. Then he meditated for some time on that. Then he came down to his real self and came. So this Mahatmaji would say, he is a man, he is Ishvara Srishti. He is a man, he is Ishvara Srishti. He thought he was a buffalo, that is Jiva Srishti. In the same way, our essential nature being Sat, don't call it Jiva Srishti. That is a matter of fact. But thinking ourselves to be Ahankar and all the samsara that comes along with this Ahankar, that is Jiva Srishti. Thinking ourselves to be Ahankara is technically not Jiva Srishti also, because it is a result of avidya. Jiva Srishti is whatever this Ahankara does after that. All the bondage that it gets into after thinking about itself to be Ahankara, that is Jiva Srishti. And Ishvara Srishti is whatever is manifest body, that is Ishvara Srishti. Then in the ninth verse, Bhagavan said, world and ego both are rising together and dissolving together. Dhiya saha udeti, dhiya astameti. When ahankara rises, world rises. When ahankara dissolves, world dissolves. So there is no way to prove that both are independent entities. Or world is more real than ahankara. Both are the same degrees of reality, and the one that never rises never sets. That is Sat. Okay. This was the summary until ninth verse. Let us just chant the 10th verse. See a little bit. Bhavantu saddarshana sadhanani parasya nama krutibhis saparyaha sadvastu niprapta tadatma bhava nishtaiva saddarshanamityaveihi Bhavantu saddarshana sadhanani parasya namam krutibhis saparya sadvastu niprapta tadatma bhava nishtaiva saddarshanamityaveihi. Bhagavan as though is clarifying here. Whatever we might have discussed so far, he is saying, I am not putting down sadhana. I am not putting down karma yoga, japa, pujanam of Bhagavan, nama sankirtana. All of that is very, very helpful sadhana. Bhavantu nama krutibihi parasya saparyaha. Saparyaha here means worship. Sapar is the, not that sapar. Sapar is a Sanskrit root which has gotten lost. It is not very well available. From that, this word is formed, saparya. Saddarshana sadhanami. These are all means for saddarshana. What is this saparya? Of whose worship are we doing? Parasya. Parasya means Ishwarasya. Of Bhagavan, different ways of worship. With what support are we doing this worship? With the support of Nama and support of Rupa. Rupa means form. Over here the word used is Akruti. Akruti, that form which is very well created. Nama Akruti. Using the support of Nama, doing japa. Using the support of Akruti, doing dhyana. Bhagavan says, my Nirguna Rupa is very difficult for japa, very difficult for dhyana. So in Saguna, through Nama he says do japa, through Akruti do dhyana. That's why we have so many dhyana shlokas. Whenever we get this desire to meditate upon Saguna Rupa, we should not go here and there too much. Hold on to any dhyana shloka, read its meaning, and then slowly try to bring it back in meditation. If you say Karpura Gauram, that image should form of Karpura Gauram. Being able to see Bhagavan Shiva as white as camphor. How is his heart? Karuna Avataram. What is his essential nature? Samsara Saram. He is that substratum because of which everything exists. What is his Saguna Sakara Rupa? Bhujagendrahara. He has a serpent around his neck. So that is Saguna Dhyana. This is all of them are sadhanas. Bhavantu, let them be there. But what is the culmination of these sadhanas? This culmination is in getting purity and seeking the knowledge of substratum. Sad vastuni prapta tadatma bhav. Atma bhav means looking upon that as one's own self. In Hindi we say that ये हमारे आत्मीय बंधु है. आत्मीय बंधु means this person is very close to me. Atmiya, almost one with me. That kind of oneness, one was understood with Sat. Never thinks of himself to be ahankar. He says that Sadvastuni Atma Bhava Nishtha Eva Saddarshanam Iti Eva Ehi. That kind of conviction alone is called as Sat Darshanam. Means if somebody asks this question, have you had Saddarshanam? The question really is, what is our identity about ourselves? If we think I'm an experiencer, then we are having darshanam of that. Jeeva darshanam, ahankara darshanam. The most grossest form is Jagat Ishwara. Means we think world is there, but attention never goes on who is seeing the world. But when you bring attention to Jeeva, and that Jeevatva is negated, the substratum abidance in that is Saddarshanam. Now the question can come, why so many practices are mentioned? Why so many paths are given? It is said, just like a mother, she will cook different things for children. If there are 3 children, everybody's taste is not same. But she wants every child to eat. The same dish she will make in one way. For second child, either she'll make something else, or the same thing she'll present it in some other way. Third one, something else. Just like one thing can be done in so many ways, the main goal is to eat. Like that, there are different sadhanas which are mentioned, so that based on our temperament, we can choose. In 12th chapter also, Bhagavan starts with meditation. He says, put your mind in me, that is the best sadhana. But everybody's temperament is not for meditation. Then he says, do your actions, surrendering all of that unto me, remembering me while doing the action. That is another sadhana. Somebody says, Bhagavan, I cannot remember you even while doing actions. I end up remembering you after the action is done. He says, that is also okay. After action is done, result will come. Offer that result unto me, or accept that result as my prasad. All sadhanas are going to take us there. This is one of the few shlokas where sadhana topic comes. More we'll discuss in the next session. As I mentioned earlier, the secret of getting rasa in Saddarshanam is paying attention to every word. If you just look at the word meaning, you will feel every verse Bhagavan is telling the same thing. But only when you pay attention to words, then we realize every word has a different insight. And I'm trying to bring ideas from several different works of Bhagavan. There is one commentary on Saddarshanam written by Kapali Shastri that has many insights on every word. Then there is talks with Bhagavan Ramarshiji. That is another. And wherever Bhagavan has spoken about these topics, that is the best way to understand what he means by that topic. Because he will not say the same thing 40 times. If he has said something, there is something more to it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Hari.